All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live well this Tuesday night. Glad you guys could join us. If you're watching at a later date, hey, we love you as well. Make sure while you're here, click that like, subscribe button, the notification bell, all the stuff the cool kids do. Appreciate everybody on TikTok jumping on as well. Got my buddy Sheffield back today. We're going to continue our talk from last Thursday night about pre-spawn baits and techniques going up into the spawn and everything. One quick announcement for you guys. If you're in the Alpharetta area around McFarland Road, Union Hill specifically, tomorrow I'm going to be doing the lunch break from Atlanta Safe House. So I'll be getting there about 11 o'clock, setting up, just hanging out, do the show from 12 to 1 or whatever. If you're in the area, come by, check out some saves, come by and BS with me. Peg Leg, what's going on? I see you guys in the comment section. Coleman, I hate that for Abby. She's got COVID. That is no good for sure. Hope she feels better. But anyway, let's let's continue our conversation. So I've got a tournament coming up this Saturday, so I'm gonna squeeze Ryan for everything I can. But you guys, if you got questions, comments, whatever, let's jump on it and let's just have a good evening of talk and try to make everybody catch a few more bass. So Ryan, how you doing tonight?
I'm good.
You good?
It's
He's
good.
you know what it's always awkward. You and I've been talking for like 10 minutes now. Like I got to introduce you like we ain't been speaking for a while. So it's always a little weird when we do that.
Oh
But
no, we just did one of these last week.
I know it, right? And but guys like it. Guys love it when you come on. We have a good rapport. I guess that's what the word is, or whatever. But
Well,
anyway, listen,
I just
listen.
try to be real.
Actually, that's what we want. We want real.
It's carryover from our time together of just trying to help people.
that's that is what we do here on the live well. It's just all about helping everybody. But appreciate you guys in the comments and all that. And also too, I want to thank everybody for watching last night, the Way In, Tony's first episode of his podcast with Mike Porter last night, old Bass and Boozy. Hey, listen, you guys don't understand how much I appreciate you helping my guys out doing that. Tony did a fantastic job, and great things coming from that. We got a kayak episode tomorrow night. I'll be making a post too about the guests and everything. Uh, is your daughter in bed already?
Yeah, she's already asleep.
We cannot get a Bigfoot
She
call.
gets up at 5:30 every morning because that's when me and Melinda about get up. So she's awake. So
I
like
will.
by 7, she's like she's done.
Yeah.
It's-
Next time we'll pre-record one. Okay. We'll,
we'll
we'll,
try to
we'll
pre-record one sometime.
we will do that. So, all right, listen. Let's get back on it. All right. First of all, last Thursday night we talked spinner baits and we were talking floating worms. And if you guys have any other questions about a spinner bait or a floating worm, we can talk about that. But I watched the elites on Gunnersville this weekend, and I realized Lanier and our lakes like that are a little bit different from Gunnersville, but a lot of different techniques. First of all, you saw a lot of traps, you saw jerk baits, you saw a grub of all things that old Hank Cherry pulled out to win. So let's talk a few different types of techniques that we can use here in North Georgia or wherever. I guess we can talk anywhere. It doesn't matter what lake. Other than a spinnerbait or a floating worm. I mean, if you had to go tomorrow and you had to pick something other than that, what would you be throwing tomorrow, Ryan? What would you be throwing tomorrow?
The first thing that I would throw tomorrow, and I would probably throw it a fair amount tomorrow, would be a crankbait.
Okay.
That's what we threw a lot Sunday. And surprisingly, Sunday we went up into the muddy water, and it
Mm-hmm.
was cold, but they were all in like less than like 4 or 5 foot of water.
Really?
And yeah, anywhere up in the muddier water, it was anywhere from like 41 to 43.
Okay.
Okay, and that kind of dictated upon the sun, where the sun was rising, where it crested over the tree lines and stuff, your banks and stuff, and pockets and stuff that had the sun shining on them for a longer period of time were a few degrees warmer.
Mm-hmm.
There was one instance of one place that I fished where we fished one place and it was 41, and then literally went 200 yards on the opposite side and put the trolling motor back in and was fishing and fished that spot for about 10, 15 minutes and looked back down again on the front graph and it was 43.6.
Mm.
That was only like a 250-yard stretch difference across the lake where the water temperature was 41 and the water temperature was 43. However, the one outlier was we caught fish in the 41-degree water and in the 43-degree water.
So it didn't make a difference.
So it really didn't make a difference, and they were in the same way. I can tell you this: the crankbait bite was extremely, extremely light. It was an extremely subtle crankbait bite.
Were you getting a lot on the back hook, like they were just coming up nipping at
No,
it, or
no, I had two. No, we had two. I had two choke it.
okay?
I had two. It was gone, but they were two of the better fish. But when I say subtle, like you was cranking it real slow, and all of a sudden it just got mushy. There wasn't a pullback. There wasn't a stop.
Ah, I got you.
They would come with it, and it
Hey,
was like, and you
your
were
your
you.
rod didn't load.
No, it didn't. You didn't know it really until you were like, that feels weird. So you would swing, and when you swing, it would pull back after you swung, and they didn't fight very hard. So and that's to be expected. Um, but I talked to a couple of guys who then during the day that called me that said that they had went down into the clearer water
Mm-hmm.
and they struggled. They didn't get hardly any bites except for a few. So at about 12, we said, well, I've done seen all I wanted to see up here. I don't really want to do anything else up here because we got a tournament this Saturday coming up. So we may come up here, never know. So we left and went down toward the clearer water. And the clearer water was like anywhere from 45 to 46 and a half degrees.
Okay.
The biggest thing that I noticed in a couple hours being in the clearer water Sunday was the lack of bait.
Yeah, I've seen that in the comment section.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was extreme. Like the bait was not in the places that you would normally where they've been.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they had vacated it completely, and where they had vacated, you couldn't even hardly find fish. And I know a couple of the guys that had talked to, they were fishing the same place where they had caught fish a couple weeks ago. And they're like, oh, they won't leave. They're deeper fish. They're in the ditch, and they couldn't get a bite.
Really.
So it was like, okay, well, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's the way this cold is right now.
Well, let me ask you this. Nathan wanted to know what kind of crankbait you were throwing, first of all. But second of all, this one's for me. You were catching fish up north. Were you seeing bait, even though the water was stained? Were you seeing bait up there and not down south?
There was more bait up there than in the places that are more logical than say down there in the other logical places in the clearer water. Yes.
Okay. All
The
right.
bait Sunday in the muddy water was really high. It was real high up. It was right below the surface. And the bait that was what little bait we actually did find by side scanning and graphing in one ditch was really deep. It was like in 60 foot of water deep.
Mm,
And they were like hiding in the timber. So
gotcha.
it was like, and those of you guys that know me, I ain't about to go out there and go play with that game. I'm not
Right, yeah.
I'm not gonna go play in that game. But the crankbait, I will say that the crankbait right now, this time of year, pretty much from now until there's the next real solid move of fish. Right now, it's going to be the rock crawler, and it's going to be in the Delta crawl color. Anytime there's a muddier water, that's there's a rock crawler.
Yeah, not a Delta crawl, though.
It's going to be in the Delta crawl color. That's that matte colored one
Yep.
that don't have no shine to it. It's got the black back.
Yep.
So that's going to be my go-to color for now. There's something about that matte red color with a black back early that they seem to react to it a little bit better. But I don't know. It just maybe it's just a confidence thing for me. I did notice that Bill Payne, and if you've seen it, I did notice that Bill Payne took some pictures the other day, and he had a Delta crawler, rock crawler laying on the deck of his boat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because you talk about that Matt. I forget who it was, which guest it was, but it's been within the last. Somebody talked about it on the show about taking. I don't think it was Drew Cook. Somebody about taking the shine off of taking some sandpaper or something and roughing up their rock
Mm,
crawlers and stuff to take this shine off to make it more dull. And I forget
yeah.
who it was. Do you just buy them that way, or do you ever like if you got one that had some shine? Do you ever rough it up?
I No, not really. Like I personally don't. Like if I'm gonna throw one that is shiny, then I'm gonna throw one that's shiny. That the Delta Crawl rock crawler for me is like my confidence one,
Yeah.
and I've caught a lot of fish on it over the past like 4 or 5 years since it's been released. I think like 2020 maybe was like the first year it came out.
Was that the one you was throwing the year you and I went and you were just like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom?
that's the exact one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He had a
that's
day. He had a
that's
day.
that was the that was the 19 fish off of 1 point day.
How now listen, it was 19 fish off one, but how many casts? That's the big thing.
I was like 20 or 21 casts is all it was.
It's
It
like,
was
man,
like it was like the first cast, I crunk it all the way back to the boat, and then it was like the second cast, and then crunk it all the way back to the boat, and then the third cast, it was like I caught one. So then it was just repeat. It was like throw in the exact same spot,
yep.
keep throwing in the exact same spot, and it was just
Like,
bam,
like,
bam, bam, bam over and over.
like you got another one of them, dude. So,
So
but you mentioned the rock crawler, and again, I have so many guests I forget, but somebody also, oh, no, it was Nick Brown. I think it was Nick. I was asking them which one they would start with. And a lot of them will start, whoever that was, he said he starts with a little John first before he starts with a rock crawler. He'll go with that thinner profile first. You like throwing a rock crawler. I know you like throwing a rock crawler. When do you ever switch up to a thinner style, flat sided crankbait, or do you?
I mean, I like that little John, the little I think what is it, the DD? Maybe it's the DD 45.
Real
It's
little
the little
bitty.
beady one. It's like weighs 5/16. It's like little beady.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that one. I do throw that one some. Um, most of the time, like what I would prefer to throw um, over that is really it's not so much the crankbait itself. It's more the weight of the crankbait. And what I mean by the weight of the crankbait, it is how far can I throw it?
Yeah.
Because this time of year, to me, it's more crucial to be able to cover more water rather than with a cast rather than making the shorter throws. Now, when when you can fish some smaller areas and stuff with a lighter crankbait that you can only throw like 50 feet or so, 50, 60 feet. But like a rock crawler, you can really hum a rock crawler. So, like if I'm going parallel down a bank, which is kind of how we caught several of them Sunday, was paralleling straight down a bank, I'm throwing far ahead and cranking it back all the way, and I'm keeping it in the strike zone all the way through there.
I didn't even ask you the fish that you caught. Were you catching largemouth or were you catching spots or
It was
both?
me. It was mixed.
Okay.
It was mixed. The biggest fish. Now it's funny. The biggest fish we caught, I caught it. The biggest fish was like a 3.5 pound spot,
Mm.
and I caught it on a worm.
Did you really?
Yes, so I caught it on a worm. The second biggest fish though was about a 2.5 pound largemouth, and it was up in about 3 foot of water, and it pretty much threw the rock crawler up there, hit the water, cranked about 5 or 6 turns, and Dunn knew what the bite was already because Dunn caught like 4 or 5. I was like, oh, there he is up there, and like, you know, there he is.
Yeah.
So yes, 11:47. So
11:40. Well, listen,
yeah.
it's like I got a tournament Saturday, but I'm going out of young deer and it's electric only tournament. So my ass is stuck down there. I'm not going to be able to get up there in that stained water and all that.
Well, I would
So,
still throw it.
yeah,
I would still throw it. Even if he was down there. I mean, young deer's probably in the back of young deer's probably got some good color to it.
I hope so.
Um,
I mean, I hope so. Somebody said cellmate's one of my favorite Spro patterns. I
Yeah,
don't know
it's a
if the
good
camera
color.
does it, if the camera will do it justice.
Yeah.
But that is a cellmate right there. I like it. I noticed on Gunnersville, of course, when they were throwing all the traps and everything, orange was your predominant, your oranges and your reds and everything, until Cherry pulled out the chartreuse grub. That seemed to be like the color that everybody was throwing. So even in the clear water, would you throw more of the orange or the reds if you were throwing that style of bait, or would you change it up to a shad pattern? Like if I want to go out and throw a trap, you know, I got them all hooked up. Like this is not the way it's supposed to look. But I mean, would you get into the these colors or those colors?
So like a trap for this time of year, like
Yeah,
I still like a red.
you're still going with
Um
the red. You're not going with
yeah. Probably my favorite color to actually throw is actually a Strike King Red Eye Shad.
mm-hmm.
And I like to throw the I think it's called Chili Crawl, but
Chili crawl.
it has a black back and it's really bright red. It's like the only colors on the thing is like black and red, and that's it. Um,
So Seth Ellswick on TikTok says chrome blue for me. I get chrome blue is a good color. It's
yeah,
definitely a good color. We generally chrome when the chrome blue comes out. Me and Ryan are talking. We're talking top water. It's in the summertime with e-pop or something like that. Uh, Danny, I will sell you a groove fishing box to fix those tangled lures. Actually, listen, Dylan, the reason I got them on here is because I'm pulling them out of some old things and I'm putting them in some groove stuff. I just haven't got it done yet. So listen, guys, honestly though, go check out groovefishing.com. It will keep all these from getting hung up and tangled up for sure. There was a couple questions, guys. I missed it. I know one Clayton Belmont was asking about the pattern for the rest of the year. Um, this rock crawler, whether you're throwing a rock crawler, DT6, something like that, Little Johns, whatever, this is pretty much going to be a consistent pattern for the next month at least, wouldn't you think?
yeah, or 2 months maybe. Even a little, maybe even longer into that. When when the herring and the shad really kind of start thinking about spawning later, and I know that's kind of totally different than what we're talking about here, but it will start playing before too long. I do like that. I do like Sailmate from Spro,
Mm-hmm.
and I do like AU Shad or
Yep.
however you say it because it's like got a green back to it and kind of emulates the what the forwards look like. Pretty good. I have had some success on that one, but for the most part, like I'm a cranker until like I don't like as soon as they're back there in the back,
Mm-hmm.
the majority, like a bunch of them have moved to the back. Like that's when I don't even really like think about crankbait anymore.
Right.
Like I will like not even throw it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's different than probably a lot of people, but I'm a simple minded, simple fisherman. So like, cause I would rather, I, I would rather the way that I am personally built is I like to keep one or two rods in my hand when I'm out there. I don't like to throw a bunch of stuff. I don't like to have 15 rods laying on the deck when it comes to this time of year. If it's a crankbait, I'm gonna keep the crankbait in my hand. If it's a spinner bait, I'm gonna do nothing but throw a spinner bait.
Right.
I want to because this time of year, it's to me, it's probably the biggest rule of thumb. And we didn't talk about this last week, but for me, my biggest rule of thumb to be successful and catch some fish this time of year is to keep a bait wet.
Well, that helps.
And yeah, it does help, but keeping a bait wet is
Like,
really like, just, how many casts can you get in a day?
yeah,
How many casts can you get in a day? And every time you make a cast, it's, in your mind, you're just, this is it. This is
mm-hmm.
it. This is it. This is it. And you got to keep telling yourself that this is it. This is when it's going to happen.
You got to
So,
manifest it, boys. You got to speak that fish into existence.
yes,
How
yes.
about this question right here? More rattles or less rattles while it's cold, and on top of that, more rattles, less rattles, stain water to clear water.
I I mean, I don't even really know. I'm such a rattle trap thrower. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
right.
even know. I I I, I do kind of like the sound that those two taps make.
Mm-hmm.
They I know they have to make a little bit different
I
noise
like this noise.
under the water. Yeah, but like I think I don't know, red eye shads. There's a couple different versions of, I think, of a red eye shad. Um, I just don't get that deep into it. The only real time that I've ever actually had a day where like I never put a rattle trap down was actually up on Hartwell, and it was February and it was snowing,
Oh yeah, right.
and like we were throwing a rattle trap. Like you had to throw the rattle trap like on the bank, and like when you throw the rattle trap up on the bank, like if you hit one, like there'd be one near there, like you'd almost see a V weight come real quick, and they'd
Mm-hmm.
grab it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So and those were largemouth. So, but
Right.
I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that tournament, because that tournament we had like 17 something, almost 18 pounds up there, and it was snowing, and it wasn't even supposed to snow, and it was snowing. It started snowing around like 10 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock, and we went. I'm not going to name the location of the place, but some people could probably figure it out. But I remember we went around and around and around the back end of it like 4 times, and
And
like
what
we were
what what lake?
on Hartwell.
On Hartwell. Okay.
Yeah, it was on Hartwell. But we just went around and around and around like 4 times on the trolling motor, like this back of this big cove. And like we caught fish in different locations. Like it wasn't the same thing. So like the only thing I could think of to finish that day out, to basically say why we caught them the way that we did, was the snow, the crazy pressure change from the snow just moved everything up, and they were just constantly moving up and flooding the bank. So you're laughing at something on something that I can't see.
You
So,
can't see it. So the names people give themselves on social media,
oh,
and I have to read it when I see a name like this. Um, Penis Pump on TikTok says, been finding folks afraid of traditional beetle spins. They think they need a $20 lure to catch fish. Well, Mr. Pump, you're right. I mean, it's a legitimate fishing question, but how in the world, why you got that name, dude? I have no idea. Um, are you sitting deep, casting shallow, or are you paralleling the bank?
I mean, I'm pretty much being pretty shallow. I I do a lot more paralleling. Obviously fish the points and stuff, the rocky points, and go across them and go down them. But then after that, whatever swing in, then we'll fish parallel going in there until we kind of run out of rock, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Gotcha. Now, of course, after watching Mr. Hank Cherry pull off the what he did with the grub, so who's buying grubs now? I said it on the lunch yesterday, or today or something. I know people are buying grubs. You know they are somewhere. When is the last time, Ryan? And everybody said it's a cold water. It's a good cold water bait. When's the last time you stuck a single tailed grub, curly tailed grub on a jig head and fished with it on Lanier?
It's been a long time.
I don't. I guarantee you that in all the people that's watching and all that, the percentage of people that have actually put on a grub here lately is very minute. Now, a lot of you guys might come in the comments, "Yeah, I throw a grub all the time." I think you're full of it. I'm sure there's one or two, but what did you think about that? Him pulling out that grub and doing what he did.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is like a grub is like a really old lure.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like your grandpa probably caught bass on a grub on a jig head. So
Right.
it's an old lure. It's an old technique, but that just goes back to the whole thing of like sometimes you just got to change things up and just be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And sometimes just fishing simple can produce big results. And
100%.
I think everybody that's watching and listening right now, I think, if you really dig deep and think about your past experiences, there may be some times where if you think about it real hard, you're like, you know what, we caught like 30 fish that day, and we were just fishing real simple.
Mm-hmm.
We were fishing a real simple technique, and we caught a crap ton of fish that day. and you
Right.
remember things like that. So and especially if you do like what Hank Cherry did and you win $100,000,
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. So
yeah,
user two and a ton of numbers says I don't think I own any grubs. Twin tail grub on Kiwi and all that. I have I think one pack somewhere in this monstrosity of a room. I got all the stuff. You can't see all the stuff behind me. I might have one pack of white Fat Albert, like a Fat Albert single tail. That would be it. I don't have a lot of grubs, and I think I only got that to use as a trailer on something.
yeah.
So, I don't know the last time, but hey, congratulations to Hank. It was good to see. I don't want to say an old timer. Hell, I'm 53. He's 52, I think. It was good to see him win. He's a very likable guy. Let's see what Jason said. Generally speaking, year to year, when do the spots spawn in mass on Lanier? Not the early ones, nor the late, the majority. What are we going to say? Mid to late April?
April.
Yeah.
Hey, when it gets around April, mid-April, you can about find them in a lot of places. I'm not going to say everywhere, but
Yeah.
you pick a shoal marker like a reef pole that's kind of offshore and start there, and throw a worm or a
Mm-hmm.
fluke. You can, you find the right one, you can load the boat. You know,
Oh,
I mean, so I would say, to answer his question, I would say mid-April or so is probably when you can find a lot of them.
and the beauty of a bedded spotted bass is it's not like a largemouth. Just get within an acre of it. Just
Yeah,
get within 35 feet of it. If it sees it, I don't know what it is about it. Like, I might need to go hit that. So it really helps
they'll
guys
eat,
like me.
they'll eat top water.
I know it. Like,
They'll eat a top water lure. So
spot,
I mean,
spotted bass are just different. That's about the best thing we can say. Now
they're just angry.
they are the women of fishing. I'm kidding. If you're a female watching this, it's just a joke. My wife will get on to me later on. All right. So if you had your choice though, right now, stained water or clear water this time of year, I'm pretty sure you would take the stain.
Always.
You probably take the stain year round.
I like to stain year round. I like to stain all the time, but
Yeah.
we don't always get that luxury on the home lake of Lanier.
No, we
So
don't.
I prefer stain water. I prefer stain water, especially more times than not this time of year. Like with this weather that we had or that we're going to have this week leading into this weekend. Um, I mean, that stainer water is going to warm up a whole. You ain't going to see no 43.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Now, I'm just gonna start calling you Mr. Pump on there. I can't keep saying that. Pump on TikTok says I fish in the Okefenokee swamp. It's stained all year around. Yeah, I guess so. It's tannic down there, I'm sure. But earlier you mentioned now, is it because it was north of the lake? Probably up north. That's why you were in stained water, but it was colder than on the
Mhm.
south end where it was clear. Now, if that was reversed, then it would probably be warmer on the south end, right? Because the stained water heats up quicker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know. I think it's 3 years, maybe 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we had a tournament in late February, and we were on the south end of the lake. Couldn't go above 369, and the back of 2 Mile was like 56 degrees,
Mm,
and they were back there. I think we had like 15 pounds. I think it took 20 to win, and
right.
there was like 3 or 4 other bags over 18 pounds, that were weighed in, and everyone pretty much all said the same thing. Oh, we caught them in the. We were blown away by how warm the water was in the backs of some of these major creeks, and that was where we caught a bunch of fish.
But it was stained.
But it was stained.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stained.
That makes sense. Matt, let's see. Matthew Smith, 6998. Ever have success throwing a jointed swim bait down a bank versus a crankbait? Now, I haven't thrown a jointed swim bait in forever, but I have took a jerk bait in places here recently where I would throw a crankbait and reel the jerk bait through there. Now, it doesn't always dig down as deep, but I've had some success. Not a
I,
jointed though. I ain't thrown a jointed swim bait other than a
if,
Seville.
if he's talking about like glide baits, like I'm not a glide baiter, so there would be 100 other people
Yeah.
that you could get on here to talk about glide bait fishing, joining swim bait fishing this time of year. So I just stay away from that because I
Yeah.
don't have any experience really doing it. So
Not our strength. Now, Henry on TikTok goes, I know you've done this a little bit. Do y'all fish Lake Sinclair or Lake Oconee this time of year? And if you do, what's your favorite lure? So if you were going down to Oconee or something tomorrow on a tournament, it's got to, I mean, you don't get the stained water there compared to up here, right?
yeah,
What you throwing?
I, if I was going to go to Okone and Sinclair, I would probably throw nothing but a. Probably throw a crankbait in the morning, and then I would probably after that, depending upon how that bite goes, I'd probably be throwing a spinner bait a lot. Um, if depending upon how tight to docks they are, a chatterbait may come out, so I can skip it underneath the docks, underneath the boat lifts that are down there on those lakes, and get it up in there. Um, so that's kind of what those are the two main hitters that I would do. And if I needed to slow down on Oconee and Sinclair, I've had a lot of luck just throwing a daggone pulling. I know it's going to sound bad, but pulling out a spinning rod, a 3/16 ounce jig head, and putting a June bug June bug trick worm on and throwing it because those lakes, it seems like the further south you go, they like June bug even better.
They
So,
do.
and if I was going to say right now, if you didn't have a boat, even if you did have a boat, but if you were just going to go fishing on Oconee or Sinclair right now, and I'd say you got 30 minutes to catch a fish, what am I going to throw? I'm gonna have a spinning rod in my hand with a shaky head and a June bug worm, and I feel pretty good about being able to catch a fish.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Now, I skipped a bunch of comments. A lot of you guys were talking about, some of you are like, I haven't thrown a grub in years. Some of you guys were mentioning you throw a grub now. And I just think it's pretty interesting. We haven't talked, can't even think of the last time we taught grub. And that's, you know what? It's what happens when somebody wins a big check with something like that. Is Old Federal closed?
I think I almost think they've closed it until further notice.
Yeah, it might be. Okay. I wasn't
It's
sure.
been closed for a little while.
I don't know.
Like, and I say a little while. I think it's been closed for maybe 2 years.
Yeah. And next time Melinda comes by, Dane says, tell her hello.
She won't be back.
She gone. She gone. So it's too late. You
No,
have to tell her in the morning. All right.
no.
A lot of guys are talking. Like, when does Lanier start filling up again? I mean, Lanier is normally not on a schedule like
Who
Alatuna or
knows?
one of them. So we have no idea.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I was going back and looking. Actually, I was going back and looking at the lake level last year compared to right now, and that's the
What's
good thing. That's the good thing about the website for the Army Corps of Engineers. They go back on the line graph. You can see the previous years what the lake level was in comparisons. And I went back to last year and then look at it currently right now. We're at 1065 today. We fell 0.01 feet today.
right? Well, what was
So
last year? What was last year?
we were point, I think it was point six, basically 6 inches over full pool last year.
Okay.
We were like
That's
at 1071.6 last year.
okay. Well, how does that affect your fishing then this time of year when it's cold like that? Given that if you drive anywhere around Lake Lanier right now, you can see a lot of blowdowns out of the water, a lot of rocks and stuff like that. So that's out of the water. That's out of play now. Does that change your approach?
It doesn't really change my approach, no, because they'll still be up there. I mean, it's again talking about like last week. It's again we getting into the length of days, um, type of thing where they just inherently they just have to go. They just have. There's a population of them right now that just have to go there. That's just where they want to be because they're just getting ready.
It's
And
like a
that's just,
pro basketball player in a strip club. It's just a
yeah,
place to be.
yeah, that's where they go. Yeah, I mean that's where they got to go.
Gotta
You know,
go. I gotta go.
they got to go.
Hey,
But as far as the locations, I, I mean, I fished a few good areas. I did a little bit more exploring than I did anything, just to see kind of what was going on, just to see if things were a little bit different. See the way the fish were were laid out, and I still was catching them. The 3 or 4 places that I religiously fish, I didn't fish all of them obviously, but I picked like 3 or 4 Sunday, and every single one of them I caught a fish off of them, and I religiously fished those every year.
So they were there where they were supposed to be.
They were there. They were there.
Let me ask you this question. Hunter on TikTok wants to know, how do you feel about reservoir lakes compared to shallower lake fishing in the wintertime? So for us to compare that, so you could take a Lanier, Chateaugue, Notley, Carter's, all of our highland reservoirs, and then you could take a lake like Sinclair or Oconee, not as deep, a lot more shallower, or even Weiss over in Alabama and all that. You said earlier the fish that you caught were shallow. So, regardless of whether you're on a reservoir lake right now or a shallower lake, given the way you fish, you're going shallow anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, that's inherently the way I fish. So that's just going to be the way it is. The only difference is going to be compared to a Highland reservoir, compared to a shallower lake. I might kind of try to focus on areas like on a Highland reservoir, like we'll just use Lanier. Um, I'm going to kind of start trying to pick things apart with, okay, let's fish a rocky point, bank, whatever that's close, that's on the creek channel side. That way they have access to deeper water faster.
yeah, I got you.
As compared to like a shallower lake, like we'll use Gunnersville, for example. If you guys that watched this tournament this past weekend, you'll notice that when they showed their graph, like whether they were idling around or if well, or where they were fishing, there's a really, really, really good shot of Jamie Hartman Saturday where he was leaving an area, and you could see when he got down, crunk his motor up and started going, he was in like 6 foot of water. And then he had got off before he started getting on pad. He had got off in the 9 foot of water, and then he hit it and go. But if you watched his 2D sonar, you could see the grass. And
Mm-hmm.
then when he got off in the 8, 9 foot, all of a sudden the grass was coming up, and then all of a sudden the grass goes and it disappears because it had started getting a little bit deeper. So, and if you notice and pay attention to a lot of those guys that were fishing, other than like Hunter Shryock, they showed a lot. He caught some pretty good fish doing it. He didn't make the cut on Sunday, but he was throwing like up in like a foot or two of water around some reeds
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And he was catching some fish. So, and I think those are just the fish that even though the water temperature on Gunnersville was like anywhere from like 36 to, 38 degrees, whatever
It
they
was
said it was.
it was cold as hell. Is what it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's still those fish that want to. They know what time of year it is. They still want to be up there. That's just where they're going to be.
So Lonnie Coyote Baiter, I love that name. The names are fantastic. I always fish shallow. 6 to 8 foot is the deepest I fish. And when you were on Thursday night, we were talking about it. Like even Father Time, like I'm going shallow. And you said today the fish that you caught Sunday was what you said 5 foot, 5, 6 foot. Ain't that what you said?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I know you'll catch one deeper, shallower here, but on average,
The
your
worm
best your best
that
price.
wormfish that I caught was on a main lake, Rocky Point, and it was in about, I don't know, 10 foot of water. That's
Yeah.
probably about where it bit.
Okay.
And so, I mean, 10 foot or less is pretty much basically where I'm going to stay.
So
So,
and here's the thing is in Crank and Yankee Mike, you have the scope. If you wanted to go try to scope and everything, you have that ability. You're choosing to fish shallow.
yeah, if I wanted to, I mean, I'd go scope, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in
Uh,
it.
I know like that. Lonnie says right now a 100 or 200 bandit is my main bait. Okay, that's a
The
good
good
one.
crankbaits.
What
And
color, Lonnie? Just what color you throwing? Throw it
and
out there. Give us the juice.
if he's throwing a bandit 100, bandit 200, then you know where he's fishing too. He's basically fishing less than 8 feet of water.
Yeah, he's not deep cranking
No,
for
he's
sure.
not.
He
So
says it's in red crawl. So he's throwing a 100, 200 bandit in red crawl, and that's his main bait. And Lonnie, if you don't mind me asking, because you say you always, where are you fishing at? What would you consider your home lake? Because not everybody's from Georgia that watches us, so I never know. So I always ask that question. Um, Silver Punk was on Notley. They had a kayak tournament on Notley Sunday, and he said the lower half was iced over. We had issues with our guides icing up. Well, I mean, you even saw that on Thursday with the elites. I remember Fisher and I had, he had a camera in his boat and he was dealing with that and everything. We've asked a ton of people this. I know you and I have talked about it before. Do you put anything on your guides? You just dump them down
No,
in the.
I
Okay.
just, yeah, I'm old school. I just dip them down in the water and pull the rod back out of the water and then quickly make my cast.
Yeah. What was
So
it? Drew Cook said Pam. He said Pam works. Lonnie fishes West Point with Dowie and Martin. Okay. There you go. Now, I mean, Martin, it's going to be very curious to see the difference in Gunnersville and Martin. The weights are going to be down, but now you got that scope coming back, so it'll be interesting. Let's
it'll be
see.
one scoping, I'm sure.
Oh, it's yeah, but I mean, it's got to be a mixed bag, right? Because you're going to have guys catch. I mean, because it doesn't have Lake Lanier spots, but you're going to
It,
have guys catching spots, and then somebody's going to get some kicker largemouth. It has to, right?
it's whoever kind of figures out some way to catch one or two largemouth every day. A lot of the largemouth, you got kind of two classes of largemouth on Logan Martin right now, and there's like this 5+ pound range, and then there's a bunch of peckerheads. There's not really a ton of in between. So
It's hero or zero on the.
yeah, for the largemouth. But I guarantee you guys watch this weekend. I guarantee you're going to see some guys catching some 5, 6, 7 pound largemouth. You're going to see some weight in. So, and
If
you're going to see a few big spots too.
yeah,
You're going to see some big spots too.
all
So,
right, just real quick, just give me your thoughts. Who's going to win it? If you had to pick one angler right now, who would you pick?
I I don't know. I probably some scoper.
I'll
Maybe
pick him.
maybe Paul Marks will pull it out or something.
Or
I don't know.
Emil, one of them too. Hey,
Or
listen,
yeah, or a meal. Yeah, maybe one of them two will do it.
I'd love it. I just found it. Every time I vote against Trey McKinney, I lose. Uh,
He
Joshua
would be
said,
a good pick.
I'm telling you, like,
The dude proved a point though. You know, that dude got smashed. I know he's a friend of the show, of the
mhm.
podcast. I know you had him on. But that dude gets so much hate, so much fire breathed down his neck about him being he can't catch him without live scope. His mama bought waypoints, blah 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 blah. Well, he was in the he made it to Sunday.
I know.
And if you're an elite series fisherman, the goal as an elite series professional angler is to make it to Sunday every tournament. That's all you want to do. You know, if you can't win, let's make it to Sunday. Let's be in that top 10.
Get those AOI points for sure.
Yes,
Um,
100%.
if Ryan can stand up and raise his arms to the sky and it sticks out of the water, it's too deep.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you know what? I fish with you enough. That's fair. That's fair.
That's pretty much.
Bottom Line Outdoors said fishing Ray Roberts in Texas. Can I use these same patterns to target Texas spotted bass? I would imagine. Listen, one thing about a spot, I mean, there's some differences as you go from place to place. Pretty much a spot is a spot is a spot. We're a little different because we got the herring. I don't know that they got herring out there, Ray Roberts, but don't you
I
think
mean,
he probably could?
they there's a tackle box. There's one of them old school 6,500 tackle boxes. You can fill one up, and there'd be any given day, anything in one of them drawers could catch a spotted bass. I think on any lake that has spotted bass. That's just the way that they are.
I
Them
agree
things,
with you.
That's one of the reasons why it makes it so fun to fish for spotted bass a lot. You know, it's just the fact that they we don't have to get so close to them to get them
Mhm.
to come get something. they'll swim a long way very aggressively to come get something.
That's
So
why I said that about a bedded spot. Just get it within an acre, and you'll know.
yeah,
Oh yeah, there's spots on bed there. Throw it 35 foot that way. Might be the same spot you got bit before. But yeah, bottom line, to be honest with you, yeah, I don't know if you got a lot of rock or what you got out there, what you're exactly targeting. But I would say if you have anything similar, yeah, anything we talk about will probably work on a spotted bass at least out there. Ronnie Keener on Facebook. Ryan, have you ever seen your live scope scare the fish? we've kind of talked about this a little bit before, back when he was at the shop and all that. But what's your take on it now? Is it scaring fish or not?
I think it has a. I don't necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily say that it scares them. I think it has a. I think it has a drawing power to
Mm.
that makes them come to the boat for some reason.
You think okay?
Um,
So you think it pulls them towards you?
I think it pull. I think it'll pull them to the boat, especially a group of fish that like just take a point, for example, just some random point with a brush pile, and you got 10 people have fished that point, and you pull up to it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you drop the trolling motor, and you get within like 90 feet of that brush pile, 100 feet of that brush pile, and you point at them, and you're like, oh look, and you throw at them, and by the time you throw at them, you're like, oh shit, and you start kind of speed your reel up, trying to, because they are like coming to you for some reason.
Right.
I think some of the fish that get constantly beat on it, I think it's just kind of like, it's kind of like old ball coach blowing the whistle. Everybody report to the baseline. I think they kind of do the same thing. So
I was sitting there thinking in my head, how many times, and I've seen it with Underwood and a lot of guys I've been out with, by the time you make a cast and you're like, well, hell, they're right under the boat now, especially if like you're the co-angler in the back. I've been back there in Underwood or say like, they're under the boat now, drop. And I'm like, I saw them cast like out there like 60 feet and now they're under the boat. So it might have something to do with it. I don't know. But Sean Bubba Nelm says, he's replying to Ronnie, definitely have seen it with crappie. Okay, there you go. Patricia Leanne Shaw, seen somebody use WD-40 as fish scent. That's been known for a while. It used to have fish scent on the can. If you find a real old can of WD-40 that still has the wrapper, it says fish attracted on it. The newer cans do not.
It's in both my jars of dye.
So, you make your own?
Well, I mix my 2 colors of dye, and WD-40 goes in both of them.
See, there you go.
A percentage of it. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good question, Ryan. What fishing skill or technique are you working on to improve this time of year?
Oh, this time of year.
He ain't going with nothing. He's improving on. He's going with the tried and true basics.
And that's probably like my downfall. I don't. This time of year, I don't branch out and do different things for the most part. I stick with a lot of the same things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to say one thing, then I probably let me rephrase this for whoever it was that said that, Matthew. Rather than a technique,
mm-hmm.
what I should actually probably be more open-minded to do is to be more willing at certain times to move off a little deeper.
Okay, that's fair enough, because you're
That's
shallow
probably
fishing.
what I should work on a little bit better, is I should move off a little bit deeper.
Okay.
I have the hard-headed mentality of, even when a cold snap comes through in March or something like that, end of February, March, damn thing's still up there. And I when in reality, if I would just slow down and say, hey, let's get out here in 15, 20 foot of water instead. And then I've done it before, and then like, there they are. And then I'm like, I have amnesia. And then I'm like, the next place I go to fish, back to the bank. I totally forget what I just did. So
it's like me and a jig after throwing a jig for 10 minutes. Man, I could catch him on that shaky head. And he probably needs to stick with the jig more often. Now, War Eagle the Best wants to know, and this is a pretty good question too, what happened to Lucky Craft as a brand? It used to be very popular among local anglers in the late 90s, 2000s. I still think it's popular, but I think there's just so many good options. What's your thoughts on Lucky Craft, Brian?
When I first started hardcore bass fishing, 16, 17 years ago, like hardcore, I was told by a bunch of the old heads that was teaching me and taking me fishing, you want to throw a jerkbait, you need to be throwing like a Stacy 90 or a pointer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the best. Those are the best jerkbaits to throw. And then comes summertime rolling around. If you're not throwing a Sammy or you're not throwing a gunfish, when the gunfish came out, like it was like 2011, 2010, something like that. If you're not throwing that, oh yeah, you're putting yourself behind the eight ball. As far as Lucky Craft goes, if you look at Lucky Craft used to have a bunch of top name line pros.
Mm-hmm.
Like Skeet Reese was like one of them. He was a Lucky Craft guy. Um, there was several other ones. Kelly Jordan, he was another one that's won a lot of money over the years, and they're gone. They're not a part of it anymore. So I'm not saying Lucky Craft isn't a good bait company anymore, but it's just if you're going to honestly, like for me now, it's like if you're going to honestly go buy a jerk bait off the wall to go throw, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to reach for a mega bass. I'm going to pay the money for a mega bass. That's just me personally.
Just a confidence thing.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
just the way it is.
I mean, my first jerkbait fish was on a pointer. I mean, I remember it specifically on Lanier, but like even now, I would go. I mean, I'm a Spro guy. I would go with a Spro. Same thing. Just have confidence in those baits. I can't remember the last time I threw a Lucky Craft jerkbait, but they were great. They were fantastic.
The Stacy 90 was really good, like, and it still is, like, especially if you got some older ones like I do. A Stacy 90 is fantastic jerk bait for cold water.
Yeah,
because it don't have that hard side to side slicing action.
all right, let me pull this up for Coleman. Shameless plug. Bubba Nelms makes the best dang Sakamata dupe on the market. Bought a few packs from him and highly impressed. Check out Homegrown Jigs. So there you go. I wanted to throw that out there. And Bottom Line Outdoors says the Lucky Craft pointed jerkbait is one of the best in the game, and the hooks are great. Yeah, I mean it's like and Sammy, guys are saying Sammy is a great bait. Listen, I mean it is, and it hasn't stopped being one. I just think
Yeah.
there's so many different options on the market. Sometimes it gets lost a little bit, just like the old grub Hank Jerry was using. There's so many different things. Um, Let me ask you this: since we're talking jerk baits, of course, jerk bait is a great cold water this time of year bait. So when you're throwing a jerk bait, regardless of what brand, are you throwing them at all now? And if you are you doing the, hey, let's get it down, let's let it sit for 10, 15 seconds, pop a Coke, take a goody powder, jerk it again, eat a sandwich? Are you one of those guys? Or are you a little bit more aggressive during the cold water?
No, there is one laying on the deck of my boat right now, and I
Mm-hmm.
did throw it some Sunday. I
No
did, I
luck.
did, I did throw it some, and for me, this time of year, up until the water temperature gets solid above 50,
Mm-hmm.
it's real short, snappy pops for me.
Gotcha.
So the bait's just kind of it's not moving very far forward. It's
Little
kind of
twitches,
staying a little bit more still. Yeah,
more like that.
yeah, yeah. The key that I found for this time of year to get bit on a jerk bait though is just think of this in your mind is constantly keep the line slack. Keep the line more slack this time of year than you would say like in the summertime or in the
Uh,
early fall.
Okay,
In
why
the
is
early
that?
fall, you can kind of really cover more water with under the water with it. You don't, you can kind of get those real hard snaps like you see KVD used to do, where he's absolutely freaking jerking the rod down, like this, really
Yeah.
hard, like really getting it. To me, this time of year, just because everyone that knows that throws a jerk bait, you've watched a video, you've read something, or somebody has showed you or taught you this. The key to getting the imparting the best action on a jerk bait is jerking it on slack line. Just for me, this time of year, as I'm going to try to keep the line as slack as I possibly can, because the more slack I keep in the line, the the jerk bait stays in more place. It doesn't come forward as much, and I feel like I can keep it in the strike zone. If a jerk bait doesn't move far away from one and it stays closer to one or closer to a fish, I feel like they're going to be more apt to come up and grab it.
Okay, that makes sense. That's fair enough. Now let me ask you about colors on a jerk bait. Because we had this conversation again too, maybe about a month ago. I forget who we have so many conversations. When we're throwing crankbaits right now, we're throwing oranges, we're throwing reds, we're throwing browns, we're throwing crawl colors. Jerk baits, we're still sticking with the shad colors because I forget what episode. Maybe somebody that's watching that can remember. Somebody we actually had a conversation about orange, red, crawl colored jerk baits. Do you have any of those? Do you ever throw those this time of year? Or are you sticking to the shad?
I don't actually own a like a red like Berkeley like the Berkeley Stunner has
Mm-hmm.
one called Blaze, and
Yeah.
it's like orangey red. It's like a crawfish. I actually haven't personally like thrown one. I have I have been in the boat with an individual who has thrown one, and I have actually physically seen that particular individual catch like 3 fish on that thing all day. So I can say this, it works. You know, it was, the first one wasn't the first one was like,
Huh.
ah, you know.
Yeah.
Then the
Look.
second one, about an hour later, when he picked it back up and started throwing it, made about 10 casts. There's one. I was kind of like,
Hmm.
and then the third one he called, I was kind of like, all right, there might be a little bit of something to this thing. You get the right water clarity, you get the right location. Nah, they probably eat this orangey red jerk. So,
I can see you two going,
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So,
Um,
but
what?
for me right now, my favorite color right now, if it's semi stained water, I like French pearl, and if it's a little bit more muddy, a little bit more, you know, I say a little bit more muddy, not pure mud, but settled mud, where you have like, 6 to 8 inches of visibility, even though
Yeah.
it's kind of muddy. I do like, and I've got several of them. I do like the table rock shad
Hmm.
because it's got the French pearl belly, it's got a chartreuse stripe down each side, and it's got that kind of loud violet purple back, and I feel like it kind of stands out. And I've caught quite a few fish on that.
Yeah, there you go. So James Collins is actually up way past his freaking bedtime tonight, and he's with us. But he does make a good point. They get a much better look at the jerk baits than they do the cranks and the chatterbaits and all that, which we haven't talked chatterbaits either. I was going to bring that up as well. Um, Clayton says, I have multiple brands of lures in my box. Probably should just pick one and stick with it. Now, War Eagle the Best, he's brought this up before too. And I actually, because I opened up a box and had a spy bait in there, I will not probably throw it. But does anybody still use a spy bait? I hear less and less about this bait. I actually heard more about the spy bait coming back this year than I have the past 2 or 3 years. It was really hot, fell out of favor. Some guys were picking it back up. When is the last time, Ryan, you actually threw a spy bait?
Uh, Probably about 2 years ago. It was
Yeah.
probably, and I didn't, and that was a hell, what's the Spy 70 from Berkeley?
Berkeley. I think that's what I got in my hands. One of these two.
Yeah, the
That's
little Spy
that's a,
70.
that's a spy. Let's see, that's a spy 70 right there.
Yeah.
I was cleaning out this
When
tackle
when
box.
when spy baits for well, we won't necessarily say that for instance, but well, I'll just say it. I'll just say it like this: spy baits were a little bit ahead of the time. They were them and those uh and someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. The Okashira head,
Ow.
the, the
Yeah.
lead head with the blade.
Mm-hmm.
I believe uh, didn't like LJ and them have one like that you could buy.
I think he still does.
Yeah, they had
Lanier.
one of the little
Yeah.
Lanier baits that I think they still had some that you could probably still buy. They were like it seemed like they were just a little bit ahead of the game. It was almost like if they would have come out like right when forward facing sonar kind of first like really got dropped. I think you would see it more. I remember when Spybait, I remember buying those Alpha 75s or whatever they was from Duo Realis.
Mm-hmm.
I remember blind casting them things over brush piles and stuff. And we caught some fish. We did. But it was like the that was like a short-lived period
Right.
of success for me at least.
But you make a good point. Now, if a spy bait had never been introduced to the market and it came out tomorrow, it'd probably be one of the hottest baits out there. Everybody be buying it because of the forward facing sonar. That makes sense. Collins got a great shot with my presence and keep you honest. Collins, you know what you need to do for me, buddy. I don't even have to announce it. Does anyone use pops and props and pops?
I don't know what that is.
I was going to say I have no idea. Um,
Ain't
I
that old?
yeah, I know. I think you still can buy that. I think Lanier Baits still has that on the website. So two things: if you want one of those, go to Lanier Baits and buy one, and then go back up to what did he say the name of that? Homegrown jigs. You guys go over there and buy some of them Sakamata dupes, and hey, listen, buy them out. Show them some love from us here at the Live Well. Go buy all those things. Um, all right, you and I were talking, and you mentioned it a couple times. The worm, the good old shaky head, Nico, wacky, whatever the hell it is, the way you like to throw it. Well, he's laughing. Collins knows what I'm talking about. Love you, dude. You were throwing a shaky head, or were you throwing a Nico? Were you throwing a pure shaky head the other day, or how did you have it rigged?
I had both of them laying on deck,
All right, which one
but
produced?
I've been on a thing. Well, I never threw the shaky head. I never picked it up.
Okay.
I picked up the Nico first, and
Mm-hmm.
I threw the Nico. I only threw the Nico like two or three different times, and that was simply because, okay, so let me back this up. So like here's an instance when I would say this time of year where I will then not leave a place. I will then stop, turn around, and then pick up a worm. If I make a cast, first cast, we'll just use a point.
Mm-hmm.
If I make a cast on a rocky point at the mouth of a creek with a crankbait, and I get that thing cranked down, and I start counting through the rocks with it, and I start hitting rocks, and within about 4 or 5 seconds of hitting rocks, I get a bite on a crankbait, and if it's got it pretty good in its mouth, like it tried to eat it, I will then get that fish off, whatever, live well, back in the water, whatever. I will throw again. If I
Right.
catch another one on a crankbait in like two or three more casts, then I will still throw the crankbait just a few more casts. If I don't get bit anymore on that crankbait after that for another few minutes, before I leave that place, I will then pick up a shaky head and I will then throw a shaky head. And about 90% of the time, when I find the fish like that, the first cast with a worm, with a shaky head, one will pick it up. Because the reason why is because I have found what in my mind is like this: I have found a point that has multiple fish laying on top of it. I got the couple of aggressive fish to bite the crankbait. The rest of them didn't want to bite the crankbait. I've run the crankbait by several of them already, but they didn't want to chase it. Throw a worm up there and do nothing with the worm, and we'll get into that, but do nothing with the worm, and one will pick it up.
So you're dead sticking it.
Catch another fish. It's not really necessarily dead sticking it, but it's back to the Bill Payne podcast, sit down podcast that you did. It's
Slow.
throw it up there, and you don't want to do a whole lot with it. You just kind of want to slowly drag it back real slow, and that's kind of the philosophy that I have adapted. And I don't move it very far. Just
Right.
move it a few, move it a foot, and then keep moving it just real slow. I'm not sitting here doing this with it, Rod, shaking the damn thing. I'm just kind of dragging it slow,
And
and then kind
slow
of
it
let
down.
it sit there, and then drag it a little bit more, real slow. But that's an instance where I will then turn around. I will not leave a place. I will turn around and pick up a worm, because there has been many instances in my life where I've caught some just keeper fish, 14, 15, 16-inch long fish on the crankbait, throw a worm up there, and bam, there's a 3-pounder.
Or
Oh,
you, or you can throw it on a ledge and pay attention to your fluke and watch it swim off.
yeah. Yeah, you can do that
Inside
too.
story there, like. Now listen. Okay, let me read a couple comments on that, but I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit more on that. So, Robert Bretts, he's up in Pennsylvania. I think I got that right. Getting those red orange crankbaits ready. Yes, it's that time of year. Tony Watkins is in the house. That's all right, dude. You ain't got to apologize for being late. Just as long as you're here, we love you. And Dane Hunter says prop baits work sometimes. I got a 13-2 on the wall caught on a devil's horse in July shallow. Now, I think on that comment, Dane, I think a lot more of us have a lot more confidence in a devil horse style prop bait, top water coming across than the spy bait. I know they're both prop baits, but you know what I'm saying, Ryan? Like I think I would be more apt to throw the devil horse up there in
Yeah,
that time of year.
yeah, devil horses. That's a fish catching machine.
Oh yeah,
That's
it's
God.
deadly
There's no telling how many. There's no telling how many South Florida bass have fell prey to a devil's horse.
for
It
sure.
really isn't.
Now let me go back. In this day and age of especially Lake Lanier fishing, we talk about it on the show all the time. Running gun. Drop the forward face and look, don't like it, go to the next. And we're hitting 60, 80 spots in a day. For you to do that technique of what you just talked about, throwing a crankbait up, bringing it through 5, 6 times and turn around and wetting a worm a time or two like that, you're really slowing down. You're kind of going against, I don't want to say the norm, but against the norm on Lake Lanier right now.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if you like, I mean, I'm a running gunner too, but I don't stare at the live scope. So, if that's the way you like to fish, then then so be it. That if you feel like you need to cover 100 spots in a day to put 5 in a boat, if you're in a tournament, then by all means go do that if that's what you have confidence in. Um, just me personally, this time of year, I feel like the fish get in moods where they will be 1 hour they'll want to chase something, they'll want to be aggressive with something, but then for 2 hours they're like, I'm just gonna sit here, and not do a whole lot because they're prop Josh.
Prop baits are stupid. I had to pull that up because that's like he goes prop bait, nah, trash, and then prop
Nah,
baits are stupid. He wanted us to understand that he does not
that
like a prop bait.
that boy, no, that boy don't like prop baits. He owns 0.
He owns 0 too. Oh, and let me pull this one up too. So when are you tying the injured herring spinner bait? Listen, Brody, you gotta wait till after I get mine. But actually, cool story. Tim Wyatt, who was taking part of that conversation last week, there's actually another color called the Highlander. And that was the color that I was talking about. That's the one that was my personal favorite. And just so happens that after the show, Tim sent me a picture of one. I mean, damn right, it's been a hot minute since you've tied one of these.
Yeah.
And Tim Wyatt still has one of those. And I was like, that's it. That's the color. And I sent it straight to Ryan right afterwards. So he'll get around to it one day.
I will. No, I will. I can't answer that question. I can give you, if you're interested in getting some, I will happily make some.
Yeah.
I talked to my little girlfriend, Erin, at fishingskirts.com last week. The Friday, actually, we did the show Thursday. Friday at lunch, I got on the phone and I called her. And I asked her about 2 of the colors that are needed that I do not currently have. They are back ordered right now. They are just now getting skirts in that they ordered back in August.
Why are they behind this time?
She didn't really go into no detail, but she told me that she would call me that as the minute 2 of those colors that I don't have would come in. So whenever it happens, we'll let the world know.
Listen, I'm gonna help you, Ryan, sell some daggone spinner baits. That is a hell of a color. You guys will like it. But ain't it crazy though? Like when a color goes out of stock, it don't go out of stock for a week. It seems like it goes out of stock for months.
Yeah, just that damn plant in Vietnam burnt to the ground, and the owners of the plant, they decided that it wasn't beneficial for them to rebuild the plant, and that plant was like responsible for
The good colors.
some 60% of the skirts that are sold in America.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Hell with the American market. We don't need them.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's like PB&J. All PB&J skirts is sold to America. It's not sold anywhere else.
I
It only
tell
goes to
everybody
one.
that. I tell everybody that, Ryan, and people look at me like, no. And I'm like, yeah, that's seriously, we're the only ones that throw PB&J skirted, jigs or whatever like that. And people can't believe it. It's the
Yeah,
truth, though. It is the truth.
yeah.
At least as far as we know it is. The crankbait worm thing would work with your partner doing one and you doing the other. And so, like, would it work? Like, if you and I were fishing tomorrow and you were going and you were throwing a crankbait, would you want me throwing a worm right behind you, or would you rather me come back with another kind of crankbait and then we go back and wet the worm?
Um, just don't throw where I'm casting. That way I don't. That way I don't. That way I don't hang your worm up. That's with my crankbait.
Damn it,
um,
Danny.
no, no. It's just a joke. No, I mean, you're fishing with a partner. That's a fantastic way of really kind
Mhm.
of seeing what's going on. That have one person in the boat maybe. No, I'm not going to. That's kind of the beauty of team fishing, especially if you get a good partner that you work well together with.
Mhm.
If you fish tournaments, that is, or if you just fun fish together, whatever. But if you get a good partner together that you work well with, have one of them have the mentality that maybe one of them is going to catch a bunch of fish today. The other one is not going to catch a bunch of fish, but maybe the other one is going to get one or two crucial bites
Mhm.
to put some big fish in the boat.
Right.
It's a fantastic little, strategy.
And you have to understand too, like, especially if you're the co-angler, and I mean, you have to understand your role. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have to understand that you got to work like that for sure. Do you remember though that one time you and I went out on Lanier and we had the exact same worm? You were throwing it on a shaky head, and I was throwing it on a Texas rig, and we were trying to see the difference. And we were
Yeah,
throwing it in the same places. I mean, this we weren't fishing a tournament or anything. But I've talked about this situation on quite a few other shows. Like, guys, honestly, it was what, probably 10-1. Like, we were throwing the same spot. He was throwing it on a shaky head. I was throwing it on a Texas rig. And after about a while, I said, hell with that. I put a Texas rig on. But we were throwing the same colored worm, dip tail, everything was the same. And for some reason, I could not get bit on the Texas rig. You remember that day?
yeah, I do. I do. That was literally like so these fish were stacked up like in a little ball. Was the only way I can describe it because you would literally throw up there and like you wouldn't even like by the time you made your cast and then when you clicked the bell over and then you like basically counted like seven and you reeled up your slack, one would be
Yeah. Hey, you're freezing up on me, dog.
and
Right there.
I throw up there and you were do what?
You get, yeah, so you're freezing. Okay. You're freezing up. Now you're back.
Oh,
Say something. Let me make sure you're on
oh, I
because you
don't know
froze
what
up.
happened then.
Okay. No, now you're good. Yeah. Now tell your story. Say
I
what you
don't
were
know what
saying.
happened. So I
That-
was throwing up there and they were just swimming off with it. And you were throwing like right there. I was like, throw right there. And you were throwing that Texas rig and they wouldn't touch it.
Mm-mm.
It it was
Yeah.
weird. I don't know. But
It pissed me off. Is what it did. It was one of those days. Yeah. I think you're lagging just a little bit, though. Ryan needs better internet. We're losing him.
I don't know.
I think you're just okay. So, like, I can hear you, and then
It's
about two
probably
seconds later,
it's probably just one of those moments.
yeah, it might be. So let's see. Throw in the vicinity, not on top of one another. With the way Ryan moves, a worm guy would not keep up. Dane, I know I've been on the back of the boat with him, especially throwing a weightless wacky. Need to buy more stock and materials. Let's see. The Highlander, if he does it, that's the one you want. Joshua, let me just pull this up too while we're letting Ryan's internet catch up. Glides are stupid too. Tell us how you feel, Joshua, about some of them baits. Um, let's see. All right, Ryan. He's doing a speed test right now. Are you good? It looks like you don't. You got fiber up there in Dahlonega, Georgia?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I heard you say yeah, and then it's all right.
628 megabytes per second right now.
I don't know. We'll blame it on Restream and all that like that. Um. Okay. How about this? Here's a question on the worm. I know I've seen you do it. I know other guys that do it, and some guys that don't do it at all. Dipping tails. at this time of year, are you taking it? You still dipping in orange? I know you used to. We would do like we would dip our tails in orange this time of year up until about the spawn, and then we'd switch back over to chartreuse for the rest of the year. Are you still doing that?
I Sunday, the one I caught the Nico fish on was I dipped the tail chartreuse.
Mm-hmm. Have you dipped in orange here lately?
I have not.
Okay, so overrated. We don't need to be doing that.
I I think it's just a I think it's just a thing. It's like I think it's just a like whatever you got confidence in at the
Mm-hmm.
time. I think that's the biggest thing. You know, nah, just go with what goes the best. There's a bunch of different worm colors. I mean, that you can throw. That's a base that you're basically that's the worm that you're kind of going with that work really really well. For me at least, but just go with whatever you feel like it is. A lot of the orange to chartreuse stuff. A lot of it sometimes always ends up being dog talk anyway.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. And while I got a bunch of you guys, I want to go ahead and say it again. Tomorrow on the lunch break, I'll be at Atlanta Safe House on Union Hill Road from 11 to 1. If you guys are in the area, just stop by and say, hey, check out a safe. We ain't talking about like Tractor Supply safes. We're talking about some jam up, hydro valuables. They ain't going to burn up safe. So come by and see us when we do that. And actually, so Clayton's got Tracy Coker says chartreuse, chartreuse, chartreuse. Clayton's got a question that kind of plays off what I was going to say. What weight shaky head do you use? And I was going to ask that about the Nico. Since you're throwing so shallow, are you going really light on the weight, or what are you using?
I typically so like a shaky head. This time of year, like I typically just throw a quarter most of the time.
Okay,
Um,
all
for the
right,
Nico, uh, it's a right now. I think the one that's plugged in right now is a 332nd tungsten.
and why tungsten? You like it better, just or is it a size thing?
Well, it's just smaller. It better than the
Yeah.
lead sticking in the end of the worm. I like using the
Okay.
tungsten. I found some tungsten on Amazon that I buy little nail weights, and there's like 25 of them bad boys in a box. So they're
Okay.
great. They're
They're great.
they work fine. So and they're cheap.
They're cheap. We like
So
cheap. All right. How about this question? One of my favorite topics. What's the favorite scent for worms? Garlic, anise, or anise, however the hell you say it. Crayfish, baitfish, whatever. Like you using Bang, you using JJ's Magic, you using bait fuel. What are you using if you're using anything at all, Ryan?
uh, my two jars of scent that I have that are dye scent, whatever you want to call it, is it's base spike it, and I pour some of it out into another jar about halfway, and then I take a little bit of JJ's Magic, same color, put it in there, and then the rest of it I fill it up with is WD-40. So to answer that question, it's more garlic than it is anything.
So, okay, I got to ask why you do that. Are you just trying to make it go longer by using the WD-40, or is there a method to the madness and a reason you're doing that?
Uh, I don't know. I just that's that I was showed that a long time ago, and I went with it, and I've ran with it ever since.
Again, like I said,
So
there's always somebody for the first time that does that. Robert says procure or spike it. Now, Joshua was trying to trick us with his uh, shaky heads, a 4/16 shaky head and a 6/64 Nico, which of course we know is a quarter and a 3/32. But hey, listen, maybe a lot of guys can't do the math, but he says hit worm or die. Now, Sean's got an interesting thing. Earthworm. I have not ever seen an earthworm scent. So, I mean, I guess maybe the one I really, I mean, I know we talk about and all that, but like coffee. I mean, I just think it's crazy that some of the scents guys use. I mean garlic, because everybody always says it tastes like the bait fish. We're supposed to eat one of those one of these days. We never do. Um, Now, here's something. Okay, let me pull this up. Dane Hunter, old Dane there. We're definitely past his bedtime. Ration tungsten raw material has gone stupid pricing, and a shortage is coming, from what I'm hearing. I mean, in a pinch, you can go get you some like little brad nails or something like that from Home Depot. There's all kinds of stuff you can use if you really get into a pinch. Now, WD-40 will get fines up here by the DEA. He's in Pennsylvania. And I know that in the electric only world, like I don't know if Pennsylvania is one of those states, but there's some states like you can't bring a boat in from outside until it's been officially inspected and improved by maybe the DEA or something like that, because they're worried about invasive species going from one state to another. Um, let's see. I've been bagging some crayfish lately. Coffee is a good filler of making baits. Grab a grinder, put earthworms in it, add an oil base and put it inside your worms. Joshua said, all right, there you go. Buying some earthworm to try it out is what he's doing. And Dane is not wrong. Let me ask you this, Ryan. How come we ain't talking about Neds no more? I know it's not sexy, but in the cold, the Midwest Finesse was a cold water presentation when it first came out, right? I mean, that's kind of what it was developed as back in the day. Guys are catching fish with it, but we never talk about throwing a Ned, especially the Bill Payne way, really slow right this time of year. When was the last time you actually threw a Ned rig? And I know Barday
Um,
throws them. For those of you that know
I've,
him,
I've, I've never really thrown a Ned rig. I've made thousands of
oh,
them
I
though.
know. Like I actually I poured some more today. It's like I hate sanding them
Um,
bookers.
I've never really thrown a Ned rig. I I bought some Ned rigs a long time ago when they first come out, like 2018, 2019. Well, they didn't first come out. When they first got popular, I guess is the best way to say it. Um, and I remember getting one about them shrooms,
Right.
from Z Man. And I remember sitting there getting one. It was going to tie it on, and I was sitting there playing with it. And, very little effort, and I snapped it. I snapped the hook
Oh
off the
yeah.
head, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't want that being between me and a fish." So then I was like, "I'm out on the Ned game, and I haven't thrown
I
one
mean, you can get thicker
since."
ones, but most of them they're very finessey for sure. I just know we don't talk
Yeah.
about it, but like somebody like Stephen Barday catches the crap out of fish with them.
He caught like a 486 spot with me one time on a Ned
I know
rig.
it. And what's funny is you
Uh,
two are big old guys, and he's throwing like the smallest bait he can possibly. You know what I'm saying? Like you would look at him and say, "All right, power guy." And he'll throw that little Ned like that and everything. Ned rigs are too light. My father-in-law, what's up, Aaron? My father-in-law used to put plastic worms in containers of night crawlers for certain technique. It killed big fish. Okay, that's something new. Um, I haven't tried that. Let me ask you this, because I want to make sure we talk about this before we get off too. We ain't talked about the chatterbait, and I knew eventually we were going to get around to talking about the chatterbait. Um, Ryan, you smiled way too hard when you said shroom. Dane said, sounds like something Dane would say. But let's talk about before we get on too much further. Let's talk about the chatterbait. And let's talk specifically Highland Reservoir spotted bass lakes. This time of year, cold water in the 40s. Is it effective? And if it is, how are we throwing it?
yeah, Chatterwagon's pretty good bait for this time of year.
Chatterwagon.
But I really don't. Now, me personally, like I really don't pull one out until I see like water temps like at 50 or
Right.
higher. Um, but it's a really good bait for a highland reservoir. Um, there's a lot of I mean, there's endless ways you can fish it. There's endless locations to fish it. Me personally, I like to use it more to skip docks with.
Okay.
So that's and it's just a place that allows me to get something further up underneath the dock than you can with a spinner bait. And sometimes this time of year, that's in the heart of a dock. Sometimes that's where she's sitting. And if you can hit her in the head with a chatterbait, it's they. The one thing about chatterbait is a lot of times when they commit to eat a chatterbait, they got a chatterbait. So it isn't some crazy, like gotta like cross their damn eyes and all this kind of stuff. You can pretty much sweep into them for the most part, and they have the
Okay.
bait. Um, it's more for me. It's like the subtlety. So like, um, I'll put something on the back. My trailer will be something that doesn't put off a bunch of swimming action. It's very subtle. I do like those. Um, I like the zoom, the shimmer
Mm-hmm.
shads. They don't put a whole lot of action, and I think that's what Wes Logan was throwing this weekend. I think was that thing on the back of his chatterbait. When the water temperature gets over 55, gets closer to 60, I'll put on the big bite baits kamikaze, the 3.5 inch. It's kind of a little bit bulkier profile, and it looks like a bigger meal, especially when we get over 55. I think those fish are starting to think more and more and more about spawning. So like a bigger profile bait is something that they're going to be more willing to like grab and eat and snack
Check
on.
that out from our buddy River Rat. Caught a 470 spot on the Chatterbait Saturday on Lanier in 10 foot of water with 44 degrees. Or that was 44 degrees. And then listen, Saturday I'll be on it. I'll take 470 spots. That would be a hell of a day. I might get a check if I do that. Do you throw a deep diving chatter wagon? Huh? A deep diver chatter
Yeah,
wagon?
yeah,
Why did y'all
yeah.
start calling it a chatter wagon? I'm just curious.
That's just a joke. That's just kind of a joke between us.
Oh, one of them personal things you're not going to tell us.
Yeah, we call them
Chatter wagons and
chatterwagons.
all that. Okay, let me ask you this. So you're skipping it under docks. If I'm going out Saturday, we're still in 40 degrees. I know how you feel about the black floats on docks and all that, but in all honesty, in that water temp, are docks going to come into play? Would that be something you would concentrate on, or would that be like, I'm near one, I'll make a cast? Would you go
Well, this
find them?
Saturday, this Saturday it ought not be 44
It shouldn't
degrees.
be.
Anywhere on the lake, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be 44 degrees. But um, this is like the way that the weather has changed for this week that we're in. I think it got what, like 70 today,
It was nice.
basically.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was real nice. That's going to warm up the water temperature, especially with the amount of sunlight that we've had. And then the thing that we're going to get some advantage on here too with all this is the fact that sometime in the morning, maybe before most of us are all awake, sometime we're supposed to get some
Mm-hmm.
rain, some more rain. So that's just going to help with the keeping the water relatively stained, to
Right.
muddy. So, it that that
Well, I heard Saturday is supposed.
that's
I heard
gonna help.
Saturday now the rain's supposed to hold off a little bit more till the afternoon.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. And that, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me for this Saturday, but um, I a chatterbait for this weekend, depending upon how you fish it, um, you can kind of fish it slower. It would probably be a good option to throw in the bag to maybe test out and see how they react to it this
Mhm.
weekend. Because there's a good possibility that Saturday we're not going to get much sun. It's going to be mostly cloudy. So with the overcast conditions, I feel like with a chatterbait, they might come get a chatterbait a little bit
Okay,
better.
that's fair enough. Now, a lot of guys were reporting on the lunch break today that they actually seen some top water. Now, they didn't know if it was stripers or spots or anything, but is there any chance whatsoever if we have a halfway decent week that we might get any type of top water bite? Would you have one tied on just to bomb acid if they came up, or would you be throwing something else at them?
No, I probably personally won't because of where I'll be fishing. I doubt I'll see it.
All right, well, what about
Um,
where I'm at? The hell with where you're fishing, Ryan, where I'm at.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility because the one thing about Lake Lanier, well, I back that up. The one thing about any lake that has blueback herring in it is they'll do some stupid crap. The fish will, and they'll school and come to the
Mm-hmm.
surface, for certain periods of the day, and you can still catch fish on top water. Um, Me personally, if I was going to see what I'll have for if I see something where, like, if I pull up to a place and all of a sudden they do come up schooling somewhere, what I would personally probably throw, and I'll have it laying on the deck, will be an
Yeah.
underspin. And because as soon as it hits the water, I can start really I can burn it
Yeah.
or let it sink down a little bit and retrieve it back. And I feel like I got a better shot at getting a hook and a
Yeah.
fish
That
that
makes
way.
sense. All right. What about my buddy Jerry right here? I can skip a chatterbait and a buzzbait halfway decent, but I can't skip a spinnerbait worth a damn. What am I doing wrong?
Boy, I, I can't skip a spinnerbait. There's a lot of damn stuff to get in the way to stop you from making a spinnerbait skip effectively. Not saying there ain't somebody out there who's figured it out, but
Yeah. You have nothing
um,
to offer to that one.
I don't. Yeah, I don't have anything really much to offer
All
for
right.
that.
Okay. What
So,
about this? And Andy Williams, appreciate you joining us tonight. What about fishing them in the mouths of the ditches? We haven't talked ditch fishing at all. There's still fish in ditches. I know you like to fish shallow and all that. That's what we've been concentrating on. But if somebody wanted to scope or get out there in the ditches, are the fish still there? And if so, what would you go after them with?
oh yeah. That if I was just going to have to go, fish ditches, for example, for this weekend, I would probably throw a little bit bigger of a minnow style, like a Demiki rig type thing that I can fish underneath the boat. A jig and spoon is still going to play if you find fish. Um, the thing about it is like the general rule of thumb, kind of, for me, is any ditch that I find them in the wintertime, they'll tip for spotted bass. Typically they'll stay there through the end of February before they make a
Right.
move, before they move out of
So they
there.
should be, if they're there,
So
they're there.
yeah, if they're there, they're there.
I like
Yeah.
that, Jerry Catula. Thanks, Ryan. I feel better now. Hey, I get it. I get it for sure. Um, Now here's a question for me. We ain't talked about tonight. We've talked shaky. We've talked everything but a jig. Are you even messing with jigs right now?
I don't want to talk about a jig right
No.
now.
What do you mean you won't talk about it? Bullshit.
About a jig.
You don't want to talk about it because it's hurting your feelings, or you don't want to talk about it because you're on them?
No, that's one. I share a lot of information with all y'all cats, but that one thing I don't want to keep under my hat.
Okay. So here's what we can deduct from that. Regardless of how you're doing something and it is working, can we just say that? Come on.
I can't.
You ain't got to say it,
I
but you're
can't.
smiling, so we all know, unless you're throwing us a
I
curveball.
catch. I catch fish on jig year
Okay.
round.
All right.
So I mean, I you, that a jig is something for this time of year. Let me put it to you. I guess the best way I can describe it. If you don't have a jig laying on the deck of your boat this time of year, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Okay.
Because there will be a day come along where the jig will it'll I don't give a damn what it is. A jig will be
Oh
anything
yeah.
this
See,
time of
Collins
year.
is saying exactly what I
Yeah.
said. You just said it without saying it. And then Robert goes, jigs work for sure. Now Aaron Young says, find the hardest wind you can find and throw a half-ounce spinnerbait. You need nothing else pre-frontal. And that's what we kind of talked about it the last Thursday. Clayton says always have a jig tied on but never catch anything. Well, that's me too. And then Dane goes, he's going to start dodging your calls. He's not going to start dodging them. Listen, I understand. And he'll tell you this is how it works. You got to hold something back. You can't give everything. He's fishing a tournament. There's probably some guys he's fishing against in the comment section right there. So I totally get it. Jig goes, listen to this. I don't know. Now, is Joshua full of it? Jig goes in the bucket with the glide, the prop, the chatter wagon, trash. Now, see, here's the thing is like, You don't know if he's throwing you off.
You got to read you got to read through his
Yeah, I know.
comment.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at all of it like that. So
No, I'm just saying you have to read through. You got to read between the
in
lines.
the bucket with the glide. Okay, well, we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to read between. You got to read between the
All right. So
lines.
let's
So
kind of we're getting close.
I will I will say this about a jig though before you say that. Um, jigs are for this time of year. A full size jig. You know, not no finesse jig. We ain't dealing with that shit.
No Picasso
That's
Spotty Juniors or whatever.
I ain't playing with one of them. You know, if you kick my tail on a little spotty, more power to you. But I'm throwing like a 3/8 ounce jig, which is what I primarily always throw. And you gotta, if you want to catch fish on a jig this time of year, you got to put it in places where they should be. That's where they should be. You know, that's kind of what you want to do. It's and it gets bit. It gets real bit. This is probably outside of like June, late May, June. This time of year, February through 1st of March, is probably the hardest jig bites you will ever feel.
Yeah.
They will if you don't know you get a jig bite this time of year, um, you really need to probably like meditate or something, because I've had some jig bites where they've bit and they've jerked the rod out of my
Right.
hand, like when they bit, not swim off with it, like boom, and you're like you got to hold on to the rod. That's how hard they eat
Yeah.
it.
Now
So
Tracy's he said bobblehead. I think he meant wobblehead, but you might want to call it bobblehead jig. Has been doing great on offshore brush, 15 to 25 foot of water. Jerry goes, this seems to be painful for him. It's not. It's not. He's playing y'all's ass. All right, let me ask you this, though, Ryan. Okay, I talked about it on the lunch break today, and I told the guys I was going to let them choose because I got a tournament Saturday. I'm going to take 6 rods, and I was going to let them choose what I had. I'm going to take 3 spinning rods, two or 3 spinning rods, 3 bait casters at least. 6 baits. Let's just do that. 6 baits that I need to have tied on. You ain't got to say colors, nothing. What are the 6 baits I need to have tied on for my tournament Saturday out of Young Deer? All you glitter rocket guys, stay away. Us electric only guys are going to be on every single point out there. What I need to have tied on.
Let's see. Probably number one, obviously, is like what we talked about earlier. A crankbait, some kind of red crankbait would preferably. You can pick flat sided, rock crawler, whatever. I know you're gonna reach for a rock crawler,
Damn
probably,
right.
and you wouldn't be wrong. So that would be number one. So what you got 3? What do you say? You got 3 spinning rods and 3
Well,
bait
I'll do
casters?
whatever. I'll do whatever. I own enough rods and reels.
Well, I'll stick to that then, just for that, because that's kind of.
And this is one thing. Listen,
So,
this is one that will not happen. Okay.
6 water clockers.
Will not
Yeah.
happen. Okay, so crankbait.
Yeah,
Crankbait.
yeah. So for my casting rods this weekend, I would have, if I had to do that, I'd have a crankbait, I'd have a spinner bait, and then I'd have a jig.
Okay.
And then for my 3 spinning rods, I would have a shaky head. I would probably have, if you so desired it to be this way, since I've only got 3 casting rods,
I can have 4.
I would put a jerk bait on something.
Okay.
I would definitely get a jerk bait on something, especially if you get a little bit of wind. I would definitely have a jerk bait, and then probably some kind of, minnow imitator of some sort would be another good one to have.
Would you have it on like an underspin, or would you have it like on? I mean, we have forward facing. We're taking Williams' boat, so we will have forward facing. Would you do it more on a ball head jig, or would you do it more on an underspin?
I would probably, for right now, I would probably do a ball head jig right now more than I would do anything. A ball head jig is what I have actually on one of the spinning rods, but it's in the rod locker.
Right.
But it's there if we need to pull it out right now.
Okay. Okay.
They've seen so many underspins. It's like
Oh, I agree.
do something a little bit
I agree.
different.
I agree. All
So
right. Now here I'm gonna play off your bait selection. So my crankbait needs to be in the reddish color. Okay. Spinner bait, you're gonna go with if I'm in stained water, white with a little chartreuse. If I'm in clear water, white. And you're gonna go nickel, brass blaze, but you have one nickel, right? Top one to be a nickel.
no, the bottom one will be nickel, the top one will be
If I'm in
brass.
stained,
Yeah,
okay. All right. So there you
yeah.
go. Now you said a jerk bait. Now
Chartreuse and white
chartreuse
spinner
and
bait.
white spinnerbait. Now the jerkbait will go shad color. I don't own a red one yet, but you said something about the wind. Now wind plays with a spinnerbait. Wind plays good on a jerkbait. If you got the right wind, which one are you throwing first, the spinnerbait or the jerkbait? I'm getting my game plan ready, dude, based upon this podcast.
Well, I know that. Well, yeah, I mean, you got a couple lunch breaks too to go with it beforehand, so
Yeah,
you're gonna get a
listen,
lot of
I like all the
information.
guys there, but like I fish with you. You know how I fish.
If the wind, if the wind for some reason, and right now the forecast for the wind is really not conducive for a jerk bait
Okay.
because the wind isn't supposed to be picking up until later. Um, Definitely 100% with a jerk bait. The wind is always your friend with a
Mm-hmm.
jerk bait. The more wind, the better with a jerk bait. Um, in terms of like with the jerk bait though, like I still wouldn't be scared to potentially throw it like first thing in the morning, even if there ain't no wind, because you're probably going to get some aggressive fish that'll eat it, especially the way that the weather's been this week. The water temperatures are going to warm up pretty
Mm-hmm.
rapidly. Now, I don't think we're going to see no massive jump into the upper 50s,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you're probably going to see temperatures getting back up to 50, getting close to 50. And they're going to feel that. So I think they're going to react to that. And I think some of these fish, they've been relatively lethargic for the past couple of weeks. And I think they're going to start getting a little bit more aggressive. So a jerk bait would definitely be something that you could probably catch a handful of fish on if you get on the right area. I would definitely be thinking points. I would definitely be thinking, some kind of like a secondary point would probably be a good place, especially if the wind is blowing into it a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Even if there's a light little chop to the water, pick up a jerk bait and give it a shot. It takes freaking 3 minutes to make a couple casts with a jerk bait. And if they don't hit nothing, they don't hit it, reel it up, lay it down, pick up something else. So that would be kind of what I would start with. And then I feel like I would feel like this weekend coming up, you could certainly probably crank and catch some good fish first thing in the morning. But I feel like the crankbait bite will get better as the day moves on.
Oh, okay. So given this time of year, it's not normally we'll talk hey, like farmer, when cranking first starts, hey, crank until the sun gets up above, go to something else. You're saying we could have an all day crankbait bite, especially if it's cloudy.
Oh yeah, I'll throw it like this time of year. Like I won't put it down because I mean I've caught fish like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on crankbait.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of the biggest bites I've had on a crankbait this time of year have been in that 1, 2 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
period because it's like fish. It's like some of the fish, especially with the way the weather has been this week, some of the fish decide to move up
Mm-hmm.
and they move up on the places of points of feeding. And that's the bank is kind of a place to look to feed this time of year.
Let me ask you one more question. What speed reel are you throwing your crankbaits on your rock crawler?
I throw it on a 5
So you're
4 to
still 5
1.
4. So you're going slow. That's what I throw mine on. I didn't know if that was
Yeah.
right or not, or if I was going too slow this time of year.
Yeah, I'm not speed cranking anything by no
Yeah.
means. So I'm just kind of, it's kind of a nice this retrieve on a 5 4 to 1.
Yeah. So you're definitely not.
And the best advice that I could give you if you don't have a lot of confidence in crankbait or you're wanting to go try to go throw a crankbait this weekend wherever you go fishing, um, this Sunday they didn't hit it as you was continuously cranking it. Um, if I hit something good, stop it, pause it, let it pause. Don't do anything with it for 2 or 3 seconds, and then kind of take back off again with
Okay.
it. because a couple of the bites that we got Sunday was hit a good rock real good and stopped, and then went to go take back off with it again. And after it got about 2 or 3 turns on, and all of a sudden it was like they were on
Right.
it, and it was that real light mushy feeling like I was talking about
Right.
earlier.
Okay.
So
All good, solid advice. So, guys, listen. Hey, Ryan has a job. He ain't like me. I can just lay in the. I work out of my office. I live out of my office and all that. So he's got to go to bed. So I'm gonna let him go to bed and get on. But Ryan, again, as always, I appreciate you jumping on. Even though you're gatekeeping on the jig bite a little bit, I'll let you slide because you gave a lot of good information on everything else. We'll talk about that after the show. Hint, hint. But the rest of you guys, listen. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming by. Great comments today, you guys. There was a lot of people watching, and it really makes my job easier when you guys are throwing out great questions like that. So I appreciate all you guys. And again, listen, tomorrow from 11 to 1, 11 to 1:30, I'm gonna be at Atlanta Safe House on Union Hill. If you're in the area, bring me lunch. Bring me a Coke or something. No, I'm just kidding. Come by and see us. But we'll do a live well tomorrow, a lunch break tomorrow. Then we got our kayak show tomorrow night. We'll do a lunch break on Thursday. And then Matt Steffen is going to be our guest Thursday night. I always was saying Stefan, and they were like, no, it's Stefan. Well, my fault. I thought it was French. So like that. So anyway, I know you know how it is. So, but appreciate you guys. Go get you guys some rest. We'll be here tomorrow again. Ryan, again, thank you very much. And if any of you guys are on Lanier and you can't get down in the young deer area, come by and see me. Tell me what they're biting on. I'd like to actually get a check this weekend. So but other than that, hey, appreciate all you guys. I'm gonna let you guys go, and we will see you tomorrow about 12 o'clock. So you guys be good. Ryan, thanks a lot, buddy.